Hey all, Carl Joern, Pioneer Field Agronomist here in Northwest Indiana. Out in a field that's demonstrating some pretty classic symptomology in the way of sudden death syndrome. Wanted to walk through what we have going on in the way of SDS today. Typically you'll go out in a field and you'll see the top of the canopy looking something like this. We've got some yellow interveinal chlorosis going on. That yellowing in between the veins, that tissue will eventually turn brown like you see here on this plant, and followed by that, as the growing season progresses, we may actually see this trifoliate senesce off. That's a pretty good tell later in the growing season. If the plant has retained the petiole, likely if the rest of the canopy is not senesced yet, it's usually due to SDS. Sudden death syndrome is actually, that's the disease that we see, but the infection occurs early on in the growing season, shortly after planting, caused by the pathogen Fusarium. So where we see the symptoms at this time of year, which is usually early to middle of August, some folks call it the state fair disease due to that timing, but we're at peak water demand for the soybean plant. And right now, as you can see on the main stem here, we have plenty of pods that we're looking to fill. So all of that water demand is going into these sinks here, the seed fill itself. Now we see an accumulation of a toxin that's actually produced by that Fusarium at this point in the growing season. So that's why we see that yellowing or the chlorosis, if you will, at the top of the canopy. Now, in terms of where we typically see this disease show up, it's usually in our earliest planted fields. In addition to that, we usually see it in our compacted areas or our low-laying areas of the field as well. In addition to that, we should also be on the watch out for areas or historical fields where we see soybean cyst nematode pressure. There's a pretty good correlation where we see SCN pressure usually leads to an opportunity for infection by that Fusarium pathogen. So those two are pretty closely knit. In terms of things that we can do at this point in the growing season, nothing that's going to slow down or stop this disease, if you will. Now, what we can do is plan for the future. So I'd strongly encourage you all, if you do have a field that historically shows SDS symptoms, shift that from the front of your planting window to the back. If we can avoid the pest or its window of infection, that's the best way of best method of control, if you will. I would also encourage you to go ahead and protect that investment of your soybean and go with a strong seed treatment portfolio. Definitely something that needs an extra look, whether that's making sure that you have a good fungicide that goes on the seed to protect against that initial opportunity for the Fusarium infection, or if it's considering a rate of a levo, that'll give us even better protection against the SCN. I'd also encourage you to evaluate your method of resistance for soybean cyst nematode. Not all varieties are created equal, and we're beginning to see some fields that are actually still having SCN pressure, where we're still seeing crop injury, even though they have 88-788 in the method of resistance. Pioneer is a great lineup of peaking varieties that conveys a different method of resistance, so if you're seeing SCN issues, this could be a good opportunity for you to look to evaluate new varieties. Finally, I'd also encourage you to take a look at what is your native field tolerance score for SDS. Pioneer screens all of its germplasm to make sure that we're bringing forth varieties that have good SDS tolerance, but again, not all varieties are created equal, so be sure to consult with your Pioneer sales professional when it comes to picking out your soybean varieties and different opportunities for seed treatments. With that, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
That concludes this Pioneer Growing Point Agronomy video podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more agronomy insights.